Should I kick it off?
Well, yeah, if you want.
That's it.
Go for it.
All right, here we go. We're going to get going.
Pardon? Can you see it?
So I am officially the co-pilot on this panel, and this panel had an interesting beginning.
Yeah, awesome.
I got a note. Do you mind if I'm going to tell this story, Dave? Is
tell
that all right
whatever.
with you?
Yeah,
okay,
totally.
Right. So I got it. Yeah, we're starting now. Yeah, I'm going. This is yep. Sorry. I got an email from Chris and said, of all the 500 or so speakers on the list, that Dave Weiner desperately wants you to be on this panel with him.
I don't remember the desperately part, but
I might have embellished. I might have added that for what's
maybe
coming
I
next.
actually did. It's possible.
So there's only one problem. He'd like to invite you himself, but you've blocked him on Twitter. So that was awkward. And I did, in fact, then I had to go and check because this was years ago, and I remember what it was over.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Why don't you tell them, because I don't know.
We were having a little Twitter fight. And I blocked you on Twitter. And I've apologized for that because that was not cool.
And I said no apology necessary. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to invite you.
Yep. So that's how you get on a panel with Dave Weiner. You block him on Twitter.
Well, that's not entirely the way.
So anyway, I think this is an in conversation, which means it should be a conversation, which it already, as you can tell, is, and it needs to involve all of you as well. But I'm going to turn it over to Dave. Well, actually, this is your panel, so you.
And
take
you're going
it
to
from
be
here.
participating,
and
as
I'll be participating.
are all of you. Okay.
Right.
So we're not doing questions and answers. We're having a discussion. And I want to start by asking a question. How many people were in the last session? Okay. Good. So we're going to answer the question that was asked in the last session, which is, what can we do about this? And the answer is we can take over. We don't have to accept what Facebook gives us. So Matthew was saying, that they show us what they want us to see. Well, what they show me is nothing. Facebook is gone completely dead for me after the election. It used to be, before the election, Facebook was a very exciting place, very interesting. And then during the election, it started getting exciting, and then it got very quiet because we all sort of went off into our own corners. And now Facebook is like a dead zone for me. But that doesn't mean that I don't get news. I do. I want to show you how this works. I'm going to start with a demo. So those of you who have computers with you, you should go to this site, politics.newsriver.org, and I'm going to go there myself. So, politics. And so this is what you might think of as a news feed, but it's only news. There's nothing else in it. And what it is, it's based on RSS, and these organizations all have RSS feeds. So the rumors that you've been hearing, if you've been hearing that RSS is dead or RSS isn't, it's not. It's very much alive. All of the news organizations that ever supported RSS, for the most part, they all still do. And I have a theory. This is because reporters like RSS and they use it. And we should be building on it because it's all still there. And guess what? There's no algorithm here. This is all, or put it another way, yes, of course there's an algorithm, because if I'm going to show you something that's generated by a computer, by definition that means that there's an algorithm. But in this case, the algorithm is brain dead simple. It's just in last in, first out. So there's no judgment on the part of the computer. It just shows you what it found. And in terms of what you subscribe to, that's entirely up to you. In this case, this is a feed that I put together. So this one's not up to you. This one I chose the sources by just going to look for good political sources and sort of curating this list over time. And this is how I get my news. This is how I get my political news. I also have one for Major League Baseball because I'm a baseball fan. I have one for basketball, which has all the basketball news that I'm interested in. I have one that's personal, just has all the bloggers that I follow. And there's no Facebook here. There's no Facebook. I don't have to worry about what Facebook thinks I should see because they don't have a say in this. The other thing that makes this important and makes it unique is that I actually have the source code for the algorithm on my own computer. So that means nobody gets to screw around with it. Now, even if I didn't know what that meant in terms of how to actually program the code, at least having it, I know that there's nothing, nobody can hide anything from me. And I could always ask a programmer to take a look at it and say, well, do you see anything? One of the things Matthew was saying, or we were debating in the last session, was should we force Facebook to show us their algorithm? You don't have to force anybody to show them the algorithm here because it's all completely open and transparent. And so the other important point I wanted to make was this, is that there are literally millions of programmers who would love to work with you, love to work with journalists, but we can't because we don't work for Facebook and we don't work for Twitter. And we don't particularly want to work for those companies. What we want, because we believe in the open web, the open internet. And you can't have the open internet on Facebook because that's not the open internet. And if all you're doing, if you're only getting your news from Twitter and Facebook, you can't work with us and we can't work with you. But you have this, we have far more programmers than they have at Twitter and Facebook in the open web. And so all you have to do is choose to work with us. And to be honest, the journalists that I know don't particularly want to work with us. That may be something that you want to work on as journalism, for journalism, is that maybe you don't want to be so dependent on the big companies. And you don't have to be. That's what I came here to say. I mean, I watched this conference on video, starting with that session with the guy from Facebook, I don't remember his name, where everybody was jumping down his throat about, you got to do this for us, you got to do that for us. And I felt so sorry for the guy, because this is a guy who works 15 levels down in the organization from the people who actually make the decisions about this stuff. He's powerless to do anything to help you. All you're doing is venting when you yell at this guy. And what I wanted to say is, you don't ever see the open web get, representation out in the bar. I mean, Facebook's got this great bar over there where they can show you how to do all this stuff. We don't have the money. We can't come and, spoil you with all the, great gifts that they give you, which are actually don't end up being worth anything to you. You actually have to work to find us. But I decided to pay my airfare to come here to tell you that the open web is here for you to use, and we would love to work with you. So that's my intro.
So take a step back a second. You called this, you titled this panel, this was your
Plan B.
Plan B.
Yeah.
Talk a little, you wrote a setup post that I thought was really, really interesting, where you contrasted your own experience as a programmer and wanting to work at Apple.
Right.
Them telling you no for reasons, I mean, I'm not going to spoil it, but I thought you drew a really interesting parallel between...
I've been where you guys are.
Yeah.
I've started 3 companies in Silicon Valley. I lived there for 30 years. I'm basically from the tech industry. And so I had my first startup was successful. And our success came from working very closely with Apple on the Macintosh in 1984, 85, 86, 87. And we've developed a lot of great relationships with people at all levels in Apple. And when I sold my company, I came out as a, we worship, I call myself a minor tech god, because that is the way you guys treat people from Silicon Valley. And I benefited from it. You can go back and look at the archives of all the publications. I wouldn't say I was not of the stature of a Bill Gates or a Steve Jobs, but I was, one tier down from that.
Do people here all know who Dave Weiner is?
I'm
serious. No, I'm not even asking that to be flippant.
I don't want that. I mean,
No. I think it's worth me pointing this out, and I'm not just here to be your hype man.
Go ahead. You're doing it.
No. I mean, So when you talk about, so Dave this morning said, it was Rasmus who's joining us, and I think somehow somebody said, yeah, he started blogging. Now, when someone says he started blogging, it means that today I logged on to Medium or to WordPress and I started writing. No, Dave started blogging, okay? There was no blogging before Dave, right? RSS, Dave. Podcasting,
yeah.
Dave. So when he talks about the open web being, of the open web and all that entails, this is the open
One
web.
of them. I mean, there are plenty of other people.
Well, you're the one who's here.
I'm the one that's in the street,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I just want to make sure everybody understood.
So I'll try to get through that story quickly. So I wanted to do a lot of great things, and I didn't want to work too hard to get my products marketed. And since I had all these great relationships with Apple, I thought, well, the next thing I want to do is go work at Apple, And so I had a friend, a guy named Jean-Louis Gasset, who was a top executive at Apple at the time, one step below John Scully. And I said, why don't you hire me? I want to come work for you. And he says, no, I can't imitate his accent, but he said, no, you don't want to do that, trust me. And I didn't accept it. So I tried to get a job at Apple, and I wanted the same kind of thing that I think journalists want from Facebook, because I wanted my software to run on every Mac. I didn't want to be an independent software developer and have to fight for a small share of the Macs. And it took me 5 years to be, and a lot of development and a lot of arm twisting and a lot of fighting and finally giving up, to realize that big tech companies are complete messes on the inside. People don't get to do great things inside of tech companies. People fight for, I was telling Aaron a story, and I've worked with a lot of tech companies after that. I had a good partnership with Microsoft. We did protocols, a protocol called SOAP, if you've ever heard of that. And one guy at Microsoft was boasting that that word in that dialogue, that's my word. I put that there. And he would walk into a meeting at Microsoft and everybody would look at him and go, hey, that's the guy who did the word. And this is the kind of struggle people inside those companies have to get even the slightest bit of stuff done. And so people like you and me who are outside of those companies, they don't even talk about letting us do anything. So you're going to go, and it's fine, I understand it's human nature to look at Facebook and say, well, if I can convince Facebook to be fair to journalism, then I'm going to get access to all 1.5 billion of their readers, right? And that's when you talk to a journalist about what makes Facebook so dominant, that's what they talk about. They've got 1.5 billion users. But those 1.5 billion users are not for you. They're not even for a programmer at Facebook. What they're for is to sell to their advertisers. So when Facebook shows you something, it's not because, honestly, it isn't because they think that's what you want to see. It's because that's what their advertisers want you to see. They think that's going to put you in the mood to actually buy something. I mean, it's one of those sort of Occam's razor type things. If you really believe companies have good hearts and are out to do good things for the world, then you should go read fairy tales, because they don't work that way. They're there simply to manipulate you so that they make the maximum amount of money. And they're not going to ever help you. You'll never be independent. If you ever even get a small portion of win with them, it's going to be at the sacrifice of your independence. You're going to completely lose it. And how can you, and I have one more thing to say about that, how could you ever cover Facebook if you have a deal with them? And so you have to put this big, huge hole in the middle of what you're allowed to report on, or what you can report on with independence and ethically. And Facebook's only going to get more important over time. Imagine if you had a deal with Exxon. It's just like that. It's exactly like that. The only thing is they have better PR than Exxon does. We used to call this the baby squirrel syndrome. It was like everybody thinks the tech companies are like magically cute little baby squirrels. But on the inside, they're anything but that. You know, I would suggest if you really want to, I'm not trying to unsell you on this, actually. Let me just be clear. Actually, I am trying to unsell them, aren't I? I think I better stop doing that. What? Yeah, I think I actually am doing too good a job on that one, because that isn't really what I want. What I want is I want a few of you to work with me.
Well, I think you have a very, I think you have a more sympathetic audience than you think. I mean, I think you titled this panel Plan B for a reason,
Right?
And
because I'm not trying to talk them out of Plan A.
Yeah,
right.
Plan A is what we're doing now.
Right.
So what is Plan B?
Well, Plan B, well, that's a good question. I was demoing it. That's Plan B. Let me just log on. Plan B is we start getting our news this way. That's it. That's all I want. It's not asking a whole lot. It's that you, I mean, the first step on Plan B is one person inside of your organization decides to provide, these are called rivers it's called Politics River. And one person inside of your organization makes the river for other people in your organization. And what they do is they pick news feeds that, that they think you'd be interested in. You know, if your organization covers a certain geography, so if you're in Italy, then maybe you would, find a lot of Italian news feeds. Or if you're covering a certain industry, then you'd go find news feeds of other organizations, news organizations that are covering that. And you'd go find some bloggers too, by the way, because they're your sources. And if you see what they're blogging about, then that could inform you, give you ideas for stories. I mean, this was something we were going to ask about. It's like, how do you guys get news now? Anybody want to volunteer? Tell how do you get your news? Do you, what? Say, you don't have to wait for the mic, just say it loud. What did you say?
Yeah, I think we do need the mic because I think this is being videotaped.
All right, then let's get the, mic guys, let's get on it. Get the mic to this guy right here, right now. Let's go.
Are you going to assert your rule about the mic?
What? Yeah, I changed my mind.
You changed your mind, okay.
These guys do a great job with the mics, I have to say.
Yeah.
I was going to try to get some kind of control over this.
He's the best.
They are fantastic, and I said the hell with that.
Ruling this room, yeah.
But you have to be, but you have to be fast, okay? And if a guy starts droning, yank that mic out of their hand, and let's get to the next one, all right? Yeah. So quickly, how do you get your news?
It's actually pick.com. It's piqd.com. You maybe saw it around here.
Is that PIQ?
D.com, picked. And so this happens right off some similar thoughts that you had.
Oh, awesome.
To find some alternative to Facebook, real alternative. It's a curation platform, actually. I already signed in your Facebook thread.
And do they get it?
You find it there.
Do they get the news through RSS?
Excuse me?
Do they get the news through RSS? Or how do they get the...
Yeah, it's possible.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was the right answer.
Yeah, that was totally...
I was sweating it out. I was like, if you said no, Adam, it would have been...
Oh, no, Adam's...
This would have been...
No,
Adam's okay?
Adam is RSS.
All right.
Fuck it. Hell with it. Sorry. We gave up on that one a long time ago. That's not a fight anymore.
All right.
Who's next? Okay. Let me ask for a show of hands. How many people get your news from Twitter? Okay, I do too. But keep your hand up if you only get your news from Twitter. Okay, I think that's because nobody wants to admit.
It's a bunch of journalists.
You don't really? Okay, well, all right. There has to be somebody in the room that does, but I'm not going to force you to out yourself. How many people get their news from Facebook? How many people only get their news from Facebook? Okay, all right. All right, well, then we're...
Is anyone lying?
No, never mind. The hell with that. All right, so, yes, get a mic right there.
You're lying. Oh.
No,
we're taping, yeah.
Not only are they taping, but there are people presumably watching.
Yeah, there's a live
feed,
stream,
so.
sorry.
I'll just hide over here. I actually might be rare, but I get my news from the actual newspaper.
Oh.
Whoa. Whoa. From the
And why?
physical
And
newspaper.
you mean like a printed newspaper?
I do both.
Yeah.
So is that a yes?
I do both.
You do both?
Online and printed.
Huh?
And I have a series of newspapers.
Why?
Because I'm a journalist.
And you think print is an important way to get
No, I love touching the Sunday paper. It's
Okay,
nostalgic,
that's cool.
maybe.
Yeah.
I like the way it smells.
Yeah. And there's something about that you can carry it all around with you the whole day.
Well, they do make computers nowadays that you can carry with you.
Yeah, but they're a little
Just
heavier.
FYI.
They're a little heavier than the Sunday paper.
It's true. And they're good for lining the pet cage, too. You can't really do that with a laptop.
So
What?
just to,
How about television? Yeah, that's good. I get more news from television these days. I watch Rachel Maddow. I think
can't watch it.
She's phenomenal. I don't know
I can't
if you
watch
guys.
TV. I just can't do it.
You can't watch TV?
I can't.
Oh.
I spent
That's okay.
a couple of years in watching the BBC, and I come back and cable news. I can't watch it. It makes
Well,
me.
Trump did that to me.
It makes me
that
crazy.
was Trump.
Go for it.
Yeah, well, my question, or just my topic to put on the table, it's basically how, I mean, we're discussing all these topics, here in this RightsCon, like in every journalist conference and so on, but how we can make these sort of issues like a top priority or just, a priority for people who are not into the news,
I'm here to talk to journalists. That's it. I'm not trying, that comes later. If we get some journalists working openly with open developers, with developers on the open web, that's step one on plan B. We don't have to think about step 2, step 3. He asked me, well, Facebook has so many users. Well, that doesn't matter. I can still use another technology, even if Facebook has 1.5 billion users. It doesn't mean I can't solve the problem for myself, and you can solve it for you and for your organization. Because what's going to happen when you solve it for your organization is you're going to start getting ideas. You're going to start getting ideas about how this could be better. And unlike Facebook, we will listen to you. And if we can deliver it, we will. That's the way, when I'm an old school guy when it comes to software, that's how I made my success, was by learning how to listen to users and then giving them back what they wanted. And that's kind of a lost art. I tried to work with Facebook. I didn't say this either, but I tried to work with Facebook for 3 years. When they were doing instant articles, the team that was doing it, called me up and said, come down for a meeting. We want to talk with you about what we're doing. And they showed it to me, and it turns out, and instant articles is very rational technology. It's based on RSS. And, but I have to say, I didn't get any ideas into it. I wasn't able to do any development work to make it better. So I was left very unsatisfied as a developer. I only thrive as a developer if I have users. That's the only way it works. And so that's all I'm talking about. I'm not talking about defeating Facebook. I'm not talking about replacing Facebook. That comes later, okay? I'm serious. If you go one step at a time, everybody has what we call boil the ocean type approaches to solving technology problems, and those don't work. Facebook didn't set out to be Facebook when it started. It set out to be a dating site for Harvard undergrads, all right? And that's how technology develops. You start with one goal and you go step by step and you see where it takes you. We have no idea where this thread would take us. And that's why it's so foolish to give up at this point, to throw your hands up in the air and say, okay, we have to get the government to do things to Facebook. Facebook isn't going to listen to the government. They're going to buy the government. They're going to buy them. They own so much money, they can buy anybody they want. But I'll tell you who people do listen to. They don't listen to their friends. They listen to their competitors. If one day Facebook thinks that somebody else is providing better news to their users, they're going to match them feature for feature. And that's how you're going to get them to do the things you want them to do. You have to go out and date other software before your wife or your husband is going to give you what you want. We had love in the last session. People who weren't in the last session won't get the joke on that one, but But it's true. It's so true. Human nature is that people don't actually do anything until they have to do it. Facebook is copying everything in Snapchat right now, right? If the Snapchat guys had gone to Facebook and said, hey, Zuck, give us, I don't use Snapchat, so I don't know, but give us this, and this, Zuck would have said, yeah, thanks a lot, I'll let you know. But now, I'm sure it isn't in their business plan that Facebook would clone everything that they do, but it is in my business plan. I would be perfectly happy if Facebook did everything that was in my software. That's fundamentally what I asked them to do. And they were very polite about ignoring me.
So I mean, if I'm going to just to paraphrase a bit, the point you're making, I think that's really interesting here and doesn't come up enough, is that yes, we all look at Facebook's 1.5 billion daily users and we say we have to engage with them because it's such a huge audience. In fact, that's the exact topic of the panel I moderated earlier today.
Right.
But we also shouldn't forget that as a plan B, there is another tried and true distribution channel in the world. It is called the open web. There are technologies that have been around for a very long time that can distribute at scale, at very efficiently and very effectively, and that we are remiss if we don't think about the future if Plan A doesn't work out so well.
Right, but it can also help you.
Is that a fair?
It's fair,
Yeah.
but I would only add that it can help you do your job in Plan A better.
We have a question.
In other words, if you are a better informed journalist, you will be able to do your job better. Yes?
Yep.
I know you don't want to boil the ocean, but can you just talk through more Plan B? Let's say, for example, everyone in this room goes back to their organization and you've convinced them for step one. Then what?
See, and I don't think it actually requires
Right,
that.
but
I don't think that's what David
Okay,
said.
I would say one or two of you go back.
Okay, so
and
talk
don't
me through.
Wait, and don't convince your organization,
Right.
but just send me an email and ask me what the next step is.
We're going over the top.
And I'll send you the link to the software, and I want you to just download it and use it.
We're having an affair
You don't
with
have
the
to
open
convince
web.
anybody in your organization. By the way, this is how personal computers
Okay.
got into business. They didn't convince the management of the company that you all have to get personal computers. What they did was they found enthusiasts in corners of the company that brought the computers in through the back door. And that's all I want to do.
What about those of us who are not in organizations and
Oh, well,
want to
even
set
better.
up
You don't have to
something on
convince
our own?
anybody. Do it. You
Okay.
don't have to do
Send
it.
you an email.
Yes, it's dave.weiner, WINER, @gmail.com.
Okay.
Please.
I will
And
send
you know
an
what?
email.
Just send me an email if you just want to say hello, or that you'd like to find out what's new, or you thought I was a terrible presenter, anything. Just say, send me an email, say hi.
Can I challenge it's something you said earlier? And I want to know if you agree with this. You said earlier that journalists don't want to work with developers on the
Yeah.
open web. Is that true? How many people would agree with that statement in this room?
That you don't want to.
That you do not want to? How many people would say you do want to work with? Yeah, I think
Right,
I think you're wrong.
I'm in the world of actions speak louder than words. I mean, and
Well,
but I'll give you another example. Okay, in the United States, we just had a presidential election.
They don't have a plan yet. That's
Okay,
the
all
thing.
right.
See,
I'll
they
give
need a
them-
plan.
All right, I'll do
You're
the
giving
plan.
them a plan.
I'll give them a plan.
Yeah.
All right, totally. I'm up for it. Never mind.
Now we have a plan.
Yeah, back there.
Hi.
Hi.
I see that sometimes developers don't want to work with us.
It seems that way, doesn't it? Because developers are not good communicators generally.
And they don't want us to mess up with the code and to understand.
Well, they're right about that.
Well, tell me about it. You know, I know something.
I'm sorry,
It's not
that's-
just you. All right,
Yeah.
I get it too. They blow smoke up your whatever, and they just tell you things that aren't true, but you can't prove it, and you don't want to argue with them, and they're not nice people, right? I mean, these are all things that are true of programmers. I know lots of programmers, But
not true.
Well, all right. I'm just validating their beliefs.
I know a lot of nice ones.
Okay.
Few nice ones right in here.
Listen,
a few really nice
listen,
ones here.
There are. I happen to be one of the nice ones. Okay. I will listen to you.
I love that was a laugh line.
It was totally supposed to be. It was meant to be a laugh line. I mean, I get the irony of it. I mean, I can be hard to deal with too. I mean, I've been fired a number of times, and I didn't get the job at Apple. That's for sure. But yeah, programmers. First of all, I wouldn't say that every programmer wants to work with you by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of them they think they know your job better than you do. And those people I don't think you want to waste any time with. But one way you can avoid having to work with those people is just by simply throwing up an invitation and seeing who comes. And the people who don't want to work with you won't come. So you don't need, again, I don't need all the journalists. I don't even need most of the journalists. I just need a few to get started. And you don't need all the programmers either. You just need a few of them. And if I got a group of journalists together, let's say, I'm in New York City, and if like any of you guys are in New York or anybody listening to this is in New York, if we were to get together, have a meeting somewhere in New York, and we talked about, okay, let's actually do this stuff. And if I could, write down your names and put it on a website and show it to my programmer friends and say, look, I really got some journalists here that want to work with you. I think I could get you a bunch of people that would help you through the technical hurdles. And they might not even be that much of a programmer. They might just be technical end users. They might just be people who aren't scared of trying out, whatever. We give people to help you. They don't have to be gods. They just have to be able to actually make this work. Yeah.
I have a question here.
One of the things that I've always thought about why suddenly Facebook became so popular was that it doesn't just provide you with news.
Right.
It is a platform that allows you to show prestige to your friends. When you share something, it's more than information that you're sharing. You're sharing your values. You're sharing some sort of one aspect to your social character.
Mm-hmm.
So in order, the problem is that many competitions, many people who wanted to create alternative news readers forget this aspect of Facebook.
I don't see why a competitor that's just delivering news has to do everything Facebook does. In fact, I don't want it to.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, I just want to say, I don't think Facebook's very good at doing news.
No, they're not.
I mean, it's kind of bad at doing news. The fact that they have that non-transparent algorithm in there is kind of a deal stopper as far as news is concerned.
Yeah.
It kind of screws the whole thing up.
Yeah.
And that's something they're not going to give on for a long time to come, unless they're really feeling the heat. So let them do that. I use Facebook. Look me up on Facebook, friend me. I'm there. I'm totally, mainlining the stuff. I'm addicted to it. Okay, but I don't use it for news.
Yeah. So this is the background for this suggestion that I've had for a while, which is to convince one or two newspapers to come up with an open source social platform for news where they can control the algorithms, where they can actually allow third-party algorithms.
I know. I agree with you. And I want to say that I also worked with the New York Times in 2001, 2002, 2003. And I wanted them desperately to do that. And they gave me the other thing I wanted. They gave me their RSS feeds, but they wouldn't do that. And my theory on why they wouldn't do that is because, and this is, we were talking about this earlier, is that, he said he didn't like what I was saying when he blocked me, okay, and which I totally respect that. I completely respect that, because he was working at the New York Times at the time.
For which I apologize.
As a systems guy, and there was no need to apologize.
Okay.
And the problem there is that that place is run by the reporters. That's my understanding of it. And run for the benefit of the reporters. And the reporters just basically decide what's going on there. What I was proposing was tyranny. It was, treasonous. I was saying you have to let the users write stuff alongside the reporters. That's ultimately where I think this is going to go. And I think that's why Facebook ate your lunch.
So that might be your competing platform.
I think it'll blow Facebook away, that you won't even think of it as Facebook anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing about it is, okay, this is a bigger picture thing. This is not, in my opinion, boiling the ocean. It's accepting reality, is that the internet made it possible for your sources to go directly to your readers. And so what that did was it sort of undermined journalism we're living in that world now. The President of the United States was elected by using that method. He went directly to the voters of the United States, and he got elected. So, but lo and behold, journalism still exists. I always felt it would, okay? But the world works differently now. And so ultimately, that's why I say you have to bring the bloggers into your river too. And you only want to bring the good bloggers. And as soon as you realize somebody is using their blog stream to screw with people, i.e. fake news, what we call fake news, you have to take them out. Your job is to vet the sources and to make sure that they're actually serious, that they're informed, they know what they're talking about, and they're not deliberately misleading people. And you write your stories, you do your journalism, but that's the value add for journalism. And that's how you fight fake news, by the way, is by just not including the fake news. So it's not like, sometimes you can solve these problems by flipping the problem around. Instead of trying to have the users teach them how to identify fake news, you provide them with feeds that don't have fake news.
Or by increasing the value of Facebook's platform by doing their work for them, right? You can look at it that way too.
That's plan A. Plan A is become, a sharecropper for Facebook, and that's fine. See where that gets you.
What's your Twitter handle again?
What?
What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is Dave Weiner.
Okay, so remember he just said that, okay?
What did I say?
Was not me. That was
did
not
I say
me.
something terrible?
No.
Oh, okay.
Sharecropper.
Please don't hate me.
No one's hating on you.
Okay.
Everybody loves you.
Yeah.
A sharecropper, I like that.
Okay, look, I didn't make up that idea. Somebody else, I'm quoting someone, I don't remember who it was.
That's right.
Yes, please.
Sorry, I was wondering about the second part of the medal, as I would call it, because Facebook is one problem or one issue, but the other one is basically the Google search algorithm. And that touches on this Facebook, on this fake news issue you just mentioned, because getting news to people is one thing, but having basically the internet there and be able to search for something, you can't really solve it with an RSS feed, because people go there, they search for something, and then there's the ranking.
I don't know the answer to that one.
That's what I was wondering, if you also have a plan B for that problem.
I'm a news guy. That's the thing is, you're news people. I'm a news programmer. And so when I approach problems, I tend to think of them in those terms. All the way back to the beginning of my career, even when I was making personal computer software, I was always thinking about publishing systems. And I recognize that Google is a big problem, and it's a big problem for me too. One thing I didn't mention is that all the problems you guys have with Facebook and with Google, bloggers have the same exact problems. You guys don't tend to worry about us, and I don't think that's fair, actually, because you're supposed to be journalists. And so when you write your op-ed pieces about how journalism is going to exist in the world of Facebook, you really ought to be covering blogging too, because otherwise you're just running advertising for your own careers. And you've got to recognize there's a fair amount of that actually going on right now. But blogging, I just want to make the point, blogging has exactly the same problem. And I don't know what to do. Google, however, should be called to account for this stuff. They have screwed up a lot of things on the internet. Somebody at breakfast this morning was saying Google's going around promoting themselves as loving the open web. And I thought, wow, what a travesty. Google, and I came up with an analogy, Google loves the open web the way Exxon loves the Arctic. Yeah, that's my viewpoint of it. They screwed my world up in an enormous way. They locked up the whole RSS market. The Google Reader basically owned the whole thing. And they announced that they put it in a bag and they drowned it. They just dropped it in the river. And they said, sorry, we don't want to do this anymore. And where did that leave us exactly? You know, and I don't know if Matthew's still here, but a good deal of government regulation would help here. That should not be legal, okay? To dominate a market the way they did, and then that's like having an oil spill in the Arctic and then refusing to participate in cleaning it up. And just walking away from it as if, and you allow the head of Google News to come here and talk, and you never ask him about that. That should be, I mean, your job, you are journalists, and you guys are acting like pushovers. You just are buying the whole story, hook, line, and sinker. And they are like, it's like you've gotten into bed with Exxon. And you ought to wake up to that one. You're not doing your job, you know? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ernst, publisher of The Correspondent, a Dutch online journalism platform. We don't use Google, by the way. No
You
Google
don't?
Analytics, no.
What do you use?
Piwik.
Okay, I don't know if
It's an open source solution, and we host the
Awesome.
data ourselves.
So that's the solution. Solution is don't use Google.
Anyhow, I have a different question. I came in later, so maybe you already discussed this. Did you talk about communication between readers and journalists?
Nope. Well, a bit. But be more specific about how you guys are doing it, because I think that's very relevant.
I just suggested here, should we just do it, how many other people came in late and didn't get the pitch? Because I'll just do it again. It took 1 minute, right? And with apologies to people who did see it the first time.
But I think as you're doing that, I think your point's slightly different, right?
Yeah,
You're talking more about two-way communication between journalists, a more collaborative approach.
And journalists and who?
Yeah. Readers. We believe readers.
I don't have anything to say about that.
Okay, but I do have a question. Maybe you can still answer it because it's a question about technology. So we believe that readers have a lot of knowledge, and it's our job as journalists to get them to share that knowledge with us.
Yeah.
So if we're covering healthcare, doctors and patients who are reading us should join in and share their experience and expertise. I was wondering, so we now have like a basic solution. A journalist shares a call out saying, I'm going to research this. If you have any suggestions, let me know. And readers can then leave comments. But I wondered...
Can we talk after? I don't want to... I mean, this really wasn't the thread of this
Okay,
meeting.
I just wanted to...
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk with you, but I want to try to keep focused on what we were actually talking about.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
I'm happy to help
Okay.
any way I can, but I want to stay on this.
All right.
Shut down.
What?
Jeff.
What?
Jeff, watch out. Here we go.
Jeff Jarvis.
Is that the kind of internet you want, Aaron?
My friend,
No,
my
you
wonderful
don't
friend,
do that.
Jeff Jarvis.
I'm co-piloting here.
No, Jeff's a good guy. But Jeff, ask a tough question, all right? Please.
I'm asking a question I want an answer to.
Yes. Awesome.
Oh, stand up. Stand up. Okay, stand up. Hi. Since I teach journalism and Professor Pilhofer there does right now, I want to ask about that. I want to ask your advice about what we should be, in this romantic theme of the afternoon of getting programmers and journalists to go date and shtup and make babies, of things, yes.
Great babies.
What should we be teaching journalism students about technology? Wait a second. And what should the technologists who come in to work with us, what should we teach them about journalism? I'm not one of those who believes that every journalist should be a coder. We would do a horrible job of teaching that. I argue they need to be literate, but I also think there's a cultural angle here.
Oh, I have an answer.
You heard
don't
this
need
angle.
to keep going. I know what you should do. They should run rivers. They should learn how to set up a river and run it, and learn how to add feeds to it, and learn how to share what they've created with other journalists. And then once they've had that experience, share it with their readers. Bring it into their news organizations once they leave you and go to work in journalism. Bring that skill with them. I mean, that's my dream. You asked the dream question, Jeff. I mean, let's get those guys and gal. I mean guys in the non-gender specific. I really do. I say guys about women too. But get them. Let's get them going. I'll come visit. I'm there. I mean, I can walk from my house to your school, so I'm there. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. That was a setup. I didn't ask him to ask that question, but it was so good.
Hi, thank you. First of all, I have to say I'm really behind the vision and the idea. I think absolutely open source, transparent algorithms to compete with Facebook is where we should be going. But can I just ask you to open up and take it a bit further about the scaling and the business model you referred to? Because I look at the News River and I see it, and you demonstrated it. But, just to be harsh, it's all text. It looks a bit like a dry riverbed. A dry riverbed. And it reminds me of Google results pages circa 1999. So obviously you need to, it's static, there's no pictures, there's no video.
That's what makes it great, the fact that stuff isn't there. Have you ever used, can I ask you a question? Have you ever used Craigslist? Do you know?
Once or twice.
And do you think that's been successful?
Absolutely. But
and what does it look like?
The questions about why
I don't
people
think what
go
it looks
to
like.
Facebook.
I have been a user of this, and I'm a very critical user of my own software, I have to say. If it sucks, I know it, all right? And I've never wanted all those features. You know why? Because I get those. First of all, that's one of my complaints about your website, is you got all that crap on there that loads down. Well, I don't know about your website, okay? I'm sorry. I'm sure your website is like a 1998
It's
news
beautiful.
website.
I'll send you the link.
I'm sorry.
Pictures.
Pictures?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay, I mean, I'm a software designer, okay? It's one of the things I do, and one of the reasons this works, one of the charms of it is that it gets out of your way, and it doesn't do all those things that you said, because that leads...
I like that very much. I love that.
Then go ahead and put that...
But my question is...
You can make it look whatever way...
Can you bring the readers?
Sorry?
Can you bring the readers? You're confident? Or is there my assumption would be...
Step one in plan A doesn't include your readers, okay? Yeah. No readers. I'm asking to bring in your journalists, the people, because how journalists get news is an important question. And it's one that never seems to get asked. And we need to work on that one first. So I'm not worried about the readers. I mean, the readers, that comes later. Because the first thing that's going to happen is your journalists are going to get addicted to this. I really believe that, okay? The first person, the early adopter, is going to be the kind of person who is going to rant and rave, and everybody's going to say, oh, there he goes again, what a jerk, But he's going to insist that people look at it, and when they do, they're going to find that their productivity, in terms of, productivity is not even the right word, their grasp of news is going to increase dramatically. It happened to me when I switched over from doing the hunt and peck method of finding news, which means I would go to different websites and see what they have, and that was horribly inefficient. All this is doing is automating that. So no, I don't think it has to look sexy. I think the whole thing that's good about it is that it doesn't. Because one of the things, look how simple it is to use. You find the scroll bar and you scroll. And your eye, believe it or not, it can do this. It can scan as it's scrolling, and there's a lot of comprehension happening as you're doing this. You're seeing a lot that you don't necessarily realize that you're seeing, because the brain can do that. But you start making these items different sizes, and the graphics would do that. The pictures would make them different size. And all of a sudden, the scanning doesn't work anymore. And you have to get the front of your brain involved in the reading, and it's not a river anymore. Now it's your front page. And your front page is probably not even getting that many hits these days, because this is the way people get news. I mean, if you look at what Twitter is, all right, Twitter has the pictures. I think the pictures actually make it harder to read the news on Twitter. But look, we'll try it that way, all right? I was just being a bitchy programmer, all right? Telling you why you're wrong and you don't know what you actually want, which is what programmers do and why people hate us. So what I will do for you is we'll try it that way too. And you decide if that's what you want. That's the right answer, isn't it? Yes? No? It is the right answer. Well, all right. I think it's right. Anyway.
Next
question. By the way, thanks for putting up with me. I really appreciate it.
Next question.
How much?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Dave,
we're almost done right now anyway. So.
Thank you for RSS, by the way, which I still love.
It's nice to be appreciated.
I came in slightly late, so I may have missed the very beginning of your pitch. What's different from NewsRiver from a newsreader of 12, 15 years ago?
Well, okay. You didn't miss it. I just did it again. In fact, that was the beginning that I didn't want to do before.
I'm not knocking a newsreader because I thought it was
fantastic
great.
question.
But it looks like a newsreader from 19...
It isn't. It isn't. It's different. Okay. There are two kinds of newsreaders in the world, right? There's the mailbox-style newsreader, which is what Google Reader was, what Feedly is, what all of the things that were descendants of Google Reader were. And then there's Rivers. And when they were doing Google Reader, I was going, no, that's not the right way to do it. You should do it this way. And, everybody said, well, yeah, I don't like that, so we'll just do it the other way. And then Twitter came along and did it this way. And it worked. People loved it. So there are two ways to do it. They're both valid. I'm happy if you're using Feedly. I'm happy if you're getting the news without that algorithm standing between you and it where you are in control of it. The only concern I might have is that whoever's operating the server for you might actually, game the system a little bit. If you don't actually have the code on, then you don't know what they're doing. They could be screwing around with it. But there are two kinds. And there is a fundamental difference. I think the mailbox reader, actually, I've come around on that one, and I think it's actually very useful. I created a mailbox reader for Twitter. And so I have that, whereas Twitter hasn't done that. And I actually use it. It has the advantage, everybody says this, and it's true. It has the advantage if there are people that you absolutely have to know what they've updated, where it's like important to you, the mailbox reader works for that, and the River doesn't. But if you want to catch up on what's new, the River works, and the mailbox reader is a lot of extra work. They've always done things to make it easier to go from, step from story to story, but it's still not as easy as the scroll bar. So, who's next? Come on.
There it is.
All right, well, we finished early then.
All right, well, thank you all very much.
Thank you. For your help. I really creating this list over time. And this is how I get my news. This is how I get my political news. I also have one for Major League Baseball because I'm a baseball fan. I have one for basketball, which has all the basketball news that I'm interested in. I have one that's personal, just has all the bloggers that I follow. And there's no Facebook here. There's no Facebook. I don't have to worry about what Facebook thinks I should see, because they don't have a say in this. The other thing that makes this important and makes it unique is that I actually have the source code for the algorithm on my own computer. So that means nobody gets to screw around with it. Now, even if I didn't know what that meant in terms of how to actually program the code, at least having it, I know that there's nobody can hide anything from me. And I could always ask a programmer to take a look at it and say, well, do you see anything? One of the things Matthew was saying, or we were debating in the last session, was should we force Facebook to show us their algorithm?
Should I kick it out?
Well, yeah, if you want. Go for it.
All right, here we go. We're going to get going.
Pardon? Can you see it?
So I am officially the co-pilot on this panel, and this panel had an interesting beginning.
Yeah, awesome.
I got a note. Do you mind if I'm going to tell this story, Dave? Is
tell
that
whatever.
Right with you?
Yeah,
okay,
totally.
Right. So I got it. Yeah, we're starting now. Yeah, I'm going. This is yep. Sorry. I got an email from Chris and said of all the 500 or so speakers on the list that Dave Weiner desperately wants you to be on this panel with him.
I don't remember the desperately part, but
I might have embellished. I might have added that for what's
maybe
coming
I
next.
actually did. It's possible.
So there's only one problem. He'd like to invite you himself, but you've blocked him on Twitter. So that was awkward. And I did, in fact, then I had to go and check because this was years ago. And I remember
RSS, and these organizations all have RSS feeds. So the rumors that you've been hearing, if you've been hearing that RSS is dead or RSS isn't, it's not. It's very much alive. All of the news organizations that ever supported RSS, for the most part, they all still do. And I have a theory. This is because reporters like RSS and they use it. And we should be building on it because it's all still there. And guess what? There's no algorithm here. This is all, or put it another way, yes, of course there's an algorithm, because if I'm going to show you something that's generated by a computer, by definition that means that there's an algorithm. But in this case, the algorithm is brain dead simple. It's just last in, first out. So there's no judgment on the part of the computer. It just shows you what it found. And in terms of what you subscribe to, that's entirely up to you. In this case, this is a feed that I put together. So this one's not up to you. This one I chose the sources by just going to look for good political sources and sort of curate what Facebook gives us. You know, so Matthew was saying, you know, that they show us what they want us to see. Well, what they show me is nothing. Facebook is like gone completely dead for me after the election. It used to be, I mean, before the election, Facebook was a very exciting place, very interesting. And then during the election, it started getting exciting, and then it got very quiet because we all sort of went off into our own corners. And now Facebook is like a dead zone for me. But that doesn't mean that I don't get news. I do. I want to show you how this works. I'm going to start with a demo. So those of you who have computers with you, you should go to this site, politics.newsriver.org, and I'm going to go there myself. So, politics. And so this is what you might think of as a news feed, but it's only news. There's nothing else in it. And what it is, it's based on...
Remember what it was over. Yeah, I do.
Why don't you tell them, because I don't know.
We were having a little Twitter fight. And I blocked you on Twitter. And I've apologized for that, because that was not cool.
And I said no apology necessary. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to invite you.
Yep. So that's how you get on a panel with Dave Weiner. You block him on Twitter.
Well, that's not entirely the way.
So anyway, I think this is an in conversation, which means it should be a conversation, which it already, as you can tell, is, and it needs to involve all of you as well. But I'm going to turn it over to Dave. Well, actually, this is your panel, so you.
And
take
you're
it
going to
from
be
here.
participating,
and
as
I'll be participating.
are all of you. Okay.
Right.
So we're not doing questions and answers. We're having a discussion, and I want to start by asking a question. How many people were in the last session? Okay. Good. So we're going to answer the question that was asked in the last session, which is, what can we do about this? And the answer is we can take over. We don't have to accept